Embracing lifelong learning, how organizations can foster a culture of continuous development while achieving goals. Abstract. This article presents a framework for cultivating an organizational culture that supports continuous learning within the context of achieving work goals and objectives. Drawing on literature from the fields of organizational learning, knowledge management, and adult education, the article outlines challenges to integrated learning and work. It proposes reframing learning as an inherent job responsibility, providing flexible learning pathways customized to individual needs, and protecting dedicated time for focused development. Metrics and practices for measuring progress are discussed, emphasizing multidimensional indicators beyond traditional training metrics. The value of sustained executive sponsorship to fully institutionalize learning is also covered. Case examples are used throughout to demonstrate practical application. The overarching aim is to establish habits and structures where ongoing skill development naturally occurs through daily work, empowering individuals and teams to adapt continuously to changing needs. In today's knowledge economy, the only constant is change. The skills and information needed to succeed in most industries are transformed at an accelerating pace by new technologies, business models, and societal shifts. To survive and thrive, organizations require a uniquely human ability to both achieve results in the present while also continuously learning and developing capabilities for an uncertain future. However, creating an environment where people can effectively learn on the job while also delivering outcomes presents challenges. Today we will explore research from the fields of organizational learning, knowledge management, and adult education to outline a framework for building an organizational culture where learning and work can mutually reinforce one another to the benefit of individuals, teams, and the enterprise overall. Reframing learning as part of the job. One barrier to achieving ongoing learning in the flow of work is a perception divide between work and learning. Many still see learning as something that occurs separately from job duties during formal training sessions or outside of regular hours. Marsick and Watkins. 2001. However, learning is most impactful when integrated within real work contexts where new skills and information can be immediately applied. Ellinger. 2005. Viewing learning as fundamentally intertwined with, rather than separate from, an employee's core responsibilities is therefore critical to fostering it as an everyday work habit. Learning tasks should be built directly into roles, processes, and projects rather than treated as add-ons. To change mindsets, organizations can define job descriptions broadly to include a commitment to continuous self-development in addition to traditional deliverables. For example, emphasize that all roles involve keeping skills and knowledge up to date. Highlight how ongoing learning directly benefits achieving goals. Communicate that learning powers innovation, problem solving, and progress on strategic priorities. Give learning objectives equal weight to work outputs in performance reviews. Evaluate employees not just on what was produced but also what was learned in producing it. Watkins and Marsick. 2014. Reward knowledge sharing and help-seeking behaviors which both enable continuous learning. Recognition programs can spotlight employees who effectively mentor others or diligently pursue answers to questions. When learning is seamlessly enmeshed with work responsibilities rather than a separate activity, employees are more likely to approach it as a mindset that guides daily work rather than an occasional disruption. This reframing sustains a culture where development naturally occurs through routine efforts versus only during isolated training sessions. Designing flexible learning pathways once learning is established as integral to roles. Organizations must provide structures and supports making it easy to engage in ongoing development. A one-size-fits-all training approach is ineffective for continuous learning needs that vary greatly by individual, team, and situation. Marsick and Watkins, 2003. Instead, flexible learning pathways giving agency to employees accelerate knowledge acquisition tailored to their unique jobs, strengths, and career goals. Some options include Mentoring and coaching programs, pairing experienced employees with those wanting to build specific skills through guidance and feedback on the job. Project-based learning, rotating team members through various assignments to build well-rounded backgrounds. Post-mortem reviews can highlight lessons learned. Self-paced online courses and resources, curated digital libraries with on-demand micro-trainings covering a breadth of topics for independent study. Communities of practice, informal groups where subject matter experts voluntarily share best practices. Job rotations, temporary new responsibilities exposing individuals to different functions and perspectives. Action learning projects, collaborative problem-solving applied to real business issues combining work with self-directed study. The key is providing a buffet of adaptable options employees can draw from depending on needs, allowing them to custom-design personalized curricula. A lack of flexibility or one-size-fits-all programs breeds frustration and disengagement from learning. Elstrom. 2001. Diverse pathways keep the journey fresh and stimulate continuous motivation. Making time for learning while infusing learning directly into workflow and empowering custom paths forward. Organizations still must carve out dedicated time for focused development. Failing to do so risks learning falling prey to constant time pressures and competing priorities. Kuntz. 2018. However, requiring learning during off-hours is unrealistic and creates a false work-life separation, undermining efforts to integrate the two. Several best practices balance these considerations: dedicated learning and development days, periodic full-day programs free of regular duties allowing deep immersion in new topics. Weekly learning hours, a set number of hours each week, e.g. 2. Blocked out on team calendars dedicated solely to planned learning activities. Lunch and learns, brief weekly or monthly sessions during lunches covering timely issues. Brown bag discussions, informal knowledge sharing over sandwiches where any employee can lead a discussion. Daily stand-up learning, a regular agenda item, e.g. Last 5 minutes, in-team sync-ups checking progress on learning goals and sharing tips. Carving time from normal schedules communicates learning's importance while not detracting from delivery. A judicious mix of full-focused periods along with brief regular touchpoints maintains flow while still blocking dedicated reflection and application time. Measuring and sustaining progress for continuous learning to endure as a core organizational competency rather than a fleeting initiative. It requires ongoing measurement, accountability, and executive sponsoring. Traditional training metrics like course satisfaction are inadequate for gauging dynamical learning habits and their impact. More holistic indicators consider knowledge and skill assessments before and after a learning period to gauge growth. Marsick and Watkins. 2001. Surveys capturing employee perceptions of support for learning and opportunities to apply new knowledge. Kuntz. 2018. Manager observations of workers demonstrating strengthened competencies from learning in daily work. Business metrics correlating gains from expanded individual team capabilities to outcomes such as quality, efficiency, innovation, retention. Marsick and Volpe, 1999. Armed with multidimensional metrics, leadership can pinpoint where to strengthen supports and target communications, reinforcing continuous learning's value. Introducing learning goals and outcomes into strategic planning also ties it to long-term vision. Regular progress updates keep the initiative in spotlight versus becoming a one-time program. Sustained executive advocacy is particularly critical when learning gains importance in performance reviews, budget allocations, and role modeling. It becomes fully institutionalized. Nurturing an adaptive culture of growth as the external environment evolves at unprecedented velocity. The ability to continuously update capabilities positions organizations to adapt, compete and transform. Senge, 1990. Fostering learning as inherent to work habits, supported by flexible structures and protected time. Sustains it as a relentless competency powering progress. while establishing an adaptive culture requires investment. The return on empowering people to both deliver outputs and develop inputs for future value creation is profound. By making learning and work mutually reinforcing, organizations cultivate an unparalleled strength, a workforce dedicated to perpetual self-optimization, ready to navigate uncertainty with agility, resilience, and impact. Conclusion: in today's world where the only constant is change, developing a culture where people can learn while delivering results is a strategic imperative for organizations seeking to survive and thrive. This brief outlined a framework grounded in research for achieving this goal, including reframing learning as integral to all jobs, providing customizable learning pathways, protecting dedicated time, establishing multidimensional metrics, and securing continuous executive sponsorship. Doing so embeds continuous development as a habitual mindset and refined skill, accelerating both individual growth and organizational performance. Effectively nurturing a culture where ongoing learning and work productively coexist provides a sustainable advantage in an interconnected world demanding perpetual learning, adaptability, and renewal.